A very, very warm welcome to everyone from me here from Vienna. I'm so happy to be here with you today to share why speed management is so important. And during our icebreaker session, we heard that almost half of you don't feel safe when traveling to work, which is quite shocking from my point of view, because traveling to and from work should be something that we feel safe in. And we heard 100% of you think that there are speed related problems when traveling the road. And this is also an issue that we need to tackle and an issue that we need to cover, because we saw speed management is important not only for road safety, but for many, many other important outcomes, such as the environment, livability, economy, and equity. I'm trying to get to the next slide. And I'm not sure why it's not changing actually. I can't change the slides, unfortunately, which is a bit weird.
Let me know if you want me to try it on my side.
Yeah, that would be great. Maybe you could, if you could just open the presentation and share it, maybe, because here at my end, it doesn't change the slides, which is a bit weird. Maybe you could just share.
Okay. Sure.
Everything is frozen here.
Can you see now?
I can see it. There's something strange going on here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Um,
I'm sharing your slides. Can you see them?
Not really. Something got stuck here, which is really, really weird.
The attendees, people in the chat are telling us that they can see the slide.
Yeah.
Can you see it, Eva?
I can. Yeah, I can see them. Can you see my shared screen? Because no. Okay, now everything is fine. It's great, Stephanie, that you can move forward. I don't know what happened here. I'm very, very sorry. Let's jump directly to the next slide then. Thank you, Stephanie. As we know, the science is very, very clear. Reducing speeding will prevent many, many road deaths and serious injuries. In a crash, we already heard that also from Claudia, a human body can take only very limited physical forces before it is injured. And the chance of survival decreases rapidly above certain impact speeds. We know that for vulnerable road users, such as people who are walking, using wheelchairs, cycling, or motorcycling, that speed is about 30 kilometers per hour. We also know that speeding is the single biggest contributor to road deaths and serious injuries. All the studies, which mainly were performed in high-income countries, suggested that around 1/3 of road deaths are speed-related. This number was scientifically revised over the last years. Now we are talking about 60 to 70% of road deaths that are linked to speed. And this is true not only for low and middle income countries, but also for high income countries. Another interesting fact is that research shows that even small changes in speed have a huge impact, especially on the most severe crashes. This means that if we succeed in bringing down average speeds on our roads only by a very, very small amount, we generate really, really positive effects. And this is why speed management interventions are often highly cost effective. In session 3 of our webinar, we will dig deeper into the most effective interventions, and you will clearly see that what's highly effective is not necessarily high cost. If we move to the next slide, Stephanie, please. We see that the higher the speed, the greater the distance required to stop the vehicle. The problem for our human brains is that the relationship is not linear. For instance, when we travel at 30 kilometers on a dry road, it takes around 14 meters to stop. But when traveling at 60 or 65, it is not 30 meters that we would need, but 44 meters that we need to bring our vehicle to a halt. Higher speeds minimize the time a driver has to process information, make informed decisions, and react. They increase the time it takes for a vehicle to stop upon braking and worsen the impact of a collision. If we look at the next slide, we see that driving at higher speeds can also result in so-called tunnel vision and decreased depth perception for the drivers. At lower speeds, drivers have a wider field of vision, as we see on the left side, and are more likely to notice other road users. Just think of children playing at the side of the road. They will much easier be noticed at 30 kilometers than, for example, at 50 or 60 kilometers per hour. Next slide, please. This is very important because this shows the so-called Nielsen's power law, which connects the changes in speed to changes in crashes. The slide shows that an increase in average speed of only 5%, for example, from 50 kilometers to 52 or 53 kilometers per hour, leads to about a 10% increase in all injury crashes and a 20% increase in fatal crashes. But the good news is that also the opposite is true. If we, as responsible persons, succeed to bring down average speeds on our roads only by very small amounts, we generate really positive effects. If we decrease the average speed, for example, by 5%, using clever infrastructure interventions or enforcement, we decrease injury crashes by 10% and fatal crashes by 20%. And that's excellent news. So we don't even need to try to bring down speeds tremendously, but even small decreases have these huge and nice effects. If we look on the next slide, please, we can see that the severity of a crash outcome in response to speed has been well researched. One model in particular has been adopted to illustrate the effect of impact speeds on severity of selected crash types. And this is the so-called Ramberg model. Ramberg proposed 3 impact speed fatality probability relationships. According to these probability curves that are shown here, there is a 10% chance of fatality outcome when vehicles impact at the following speeds. 30 kilometers, as you can see here, in pedestrian or cyclist crashes. And if we look at the next slide, we can see Next slide, please. We can see that this is 50 kilometers in side impact collisions and 70 kilometers in head-on collisions. And this is where these safe speeds, survivable speeds were derived from, because much of the safe system infrastructure discussion to date has been based around these thresholds. They are often quoted as the maximum or survivable impact speeds, which can be tolerated in relation to intersection design, pedestrian activity areas, or provision of medians. But always keep in mind that these curves only provide information about the probability of fatal injury, as minimization of both fatal and serious injuries is the key concern of the safe system. Any advice on safe speeds should reference the probability of severe injury as well. If we look together on the next slide, we can see that lowering speeds brings an array of direct and indirect benefits, not only for safety, but for public health, environmental protection, transport efficiency, equity, economic growth and well-being, as well as community livability. This is also why the Stockholm Declaration of the Ministries of Transport highlights the link between road safety and more comprehensive societal benefits and connects it to the UN Sustainability Development Goals. In this context, let's look a little bit closer at the circle on these slides. We see that by reducing vehicle speeds, these reduced vehicle speeds will lead to safer roads and improved air quality. And on safer roads with less air pollution, more people will feel comfortable walking or cycling, which further reduces motorized vehicle travel. This leads to ongoing health and environmental benefits. There is a lot of research already out there supporting these benefits following the implementation of 30 km/h speed limits in many European cities. If you look at the next slide, we can sum this information up by saying that besides road safety, speed management has so many other positive effects on decarbonization, on noise reduction, on mode shift to walking and cycling with subsequent health and environmental benefits, on vehicle operation costs, which are reduced, as well as on social interaction, traffic flow and congestion. We will hear more about that in our myth-busting session coming up next. If we look at slide 10, I would like to underline one issue that is especially important because there is clear evidence that high speeds increase both fuel consumption and CO2 emissions. Speed reduction can be a highly effective solution for cutting CO2 emissions on urban materials as well as on interurban roads. Like speed, intense acceleration and deceleration can increase emissions. Higher speed limits in urban areas are associated with rapid and aggressive acceleration and deceleration, and the effect of maximum speed on CO2 and NOx emissions are substantial. The emissions are dominated by the energy required to accelerate the vehicle in stop-start traffic. And these contrasts with many of the accepted models in the literature, which exclude the effect of stop-start traffic and consider only the cruise portion of the journey. As shown in the right graph, the optimum speed limit in city traffic for minimizing CO2 emissions for small petrol cars is around 17.5 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour. For larger vehicles, diesels and SUVs, CO2 emissions are minimized at even lower speeds. And this is also why we would like to go for 30 km/h speed limits in urban areas. If you look at slide 11, which is the next slide, we can clearly see that low speed zones also enhance an area's amenity and economic activity by improving road environments and making a community or neighborhood more livable. Lower speed zone enhance community vibrancy, economic activity, and boost the quality of life. They promote safer, more inclusive neighborhoods that benefit all residents, irrespective of income. They include children, the elderly, and those with mobility issues. High speeds, as we see on this slide, can become a barrier that lead to less social interaction. There can be separation of people from goods, from services, and from each other by transport infrastructure that makes crossing unsafe and unpleasant. If we look on the next slide, we will discuss very quickly the influence of managing speed in the safe system approach. You know that the safe system approach is a human-centric approach in road transport, which acknowledges that human error is unavoidable, but road deaths and serious injuries are avoidable. It asserts that these facts should dictate the design, the use, and the operation of the road network to provide safe transport for all road users. The next slide, please. The safe system approach is based on a verified set of principles, core elements, and action areas, which are shown here. Experts and policymakers globally can use these as guiding tools to improve road safety and mobility. The approach underscores a shift in awareness away from seeing road safety as personal responsibility in terms of victim blaming to viewing it as a public health issue that governments, decision makers, and stakeholders have the responsibility and power to address together. Next slide, please. Because if we talk about responsibility, in my opinion, there is one slide that explains everything, and this is this slide. You see a couple on the balcony of an apartment building looking happy and admiring the surroundings, but something is missing here, isn't it? Something makes us feel a bit uncomfortable or even afraid for the couple. We want to protect them from falling. So what should we do? We could paint a warning line, we could put up a warning sign, we could teach them to not cross the line. But no, normally we don't do this. Normally we build a guardrail. But why is this normal, not normal on our roads? Why do we have different standards and a different perception of responsibility there? And this is what shared responsibility and safe system is all about. To actually create this new normal where we protect all road users. If you look at the next slide, we see that there is a strong connection between safe system, survivable impact speeds, and the maximum speed limits acceptable to avoid the risk of fatality or serious injury. They are based on a wide range of studies and are considered indicative because research on this topic continues and the results vary. Emerging research provides more detailed analysis and nuances on survivable impact speeds for different types of road users and crash scenarios. However, for policy purposes, the impact speeds shown here provide a very, very useful benchmark. Next slide, please. Because this is where our new guide for safe speeds comes in, the new speed management guide. We wanted to create a document that is a one-stop shop that covers everything you need to select, set, implement, and support speed limits that are safe for all road users. Next slide, please. Because the new guide sums it up, it covers all types of roads, it covers all types of road users, it covers all types of speed limit changes, and it covers all types of challenging boundary conditions. And finally, all types of target groups, from low and middle to high income countries, from decision makers to practitioners. If we look a little bit more into detail into the guide, we can see this on the next slide, because the guide is mainly split into 4 main chapters. It contains 2 annexes with the most important speed management interventions, as well as a list of key resources. Next slide, please. But there is even more in the guide, because we have summarized the most important stuff into quick tips for practitioners and have included myth-busting boxes that contain research findings that might help you to fight false information on speed management and that might be cemented in the minds of politicians and the public. Finally, we have also complemented theory with nice case studies to show what works best. Next slide, please. If you are still hungry for more information, you can also check out the Speed Management Manual, which was released in November 2023 by the World Bank, WHO, GRSP, and FIA Foundation. This manual complements the Guide for Safe Speeds and provides a more theoretical overview of the speed problem, including the latest research in the field, such as expanded scientific evidence relating to various risk factors and vehicle impact speeds and risk of death for pedestrians and other vulnerable road users. And finally, new and existing interventions are evaluated with a focus on implementation in low and middle income countries. Next slide, please. And what to do if this is still not enough? Then you can check out the GRSF Speed Management Hub, as this contains the latest knowledge not only on the many road safety benefits of managing speed, but it puts a strong focus on the broader benefits like the environment, health, livability, and travel times as well. Furthermore, it contains information on speed management interventions that really work. Next slide, please. Just to sum it up, we heard that speed management has many positive effects, and we don't want to lose these effects by not implementing safe speeds on all our roads. And this is what this whole webinar will be about. We will, together with you, discuss what we can do to make our roads safe for all road users. We can try to overcome myths that create barriers to change, and we can show you the evidence that's out there, because there is evidence that speed management actually not only saves lives but influences the environment positively and also livability positively. So if you want to download the guide, we've provided you with the download link here. And at this point, it's only for me to thank you very much for your kind attention. And I hand it over to Stephanie now. Thanks, Stephanie, for sharing the slides and over to you.